Is that working? Am I on? It's hard to tell. Yes, looks like I am. Hi, I'm Pharaoh. I'm doing this slightly differently because I've broken my iPad, which is usually the thing that controls things on the left-hand side of my screen, but technology has let me down again. And for some reason, I'm having difficulty accessing the chat as well, so I'm going to be in ordered mode for a little while, so it's going to look slightly weird here. But I won't stay in that mode. I was going to just try and stand here, and it all went wrong. There we go. So, don't even ask about how I broke the iPad. It's not worth it, and it will just make me scream. But I'm hoping I can fix it at some point. High ignition, high grav naught. So we have a new icon. We have an emoji from Sean. In fact, now that we have Sean posting on other places other than Twitter, I don't feel quite so bad about just showing that. So let's go to here. Oh no, there. And browser. No, why is that not coming up? Technology really is letting me down today. Why is that not showing? Well, I would try and do that, but it's not letting me. Well, anyway, so he tweeted the bacon emoji, and bacon emoji is a very strange thing, and I'm in 2 or 3 minds. I'm interested to hear what other people think. I'm not sure if I would go 100% with the it's all about settlements, because you're already stretching from Bacon to Shakespeare with your Bacon was Shakespeare stretch. So I'm not sure we can go with that one. I don't think I can fully sign up to that one. I'm a Shakespeare was just this guy, you know, kind of person. I don't really think that there's any need to have a conspiracy theory about who he was. What's going on? Oh, I've got the excuse me, my screen's going a bit mad. I'm going to give up with this whole idea of having the bordered on, because it is making things weird. There you go. Is it linked to the Switch 2 launch? I don't think it is. I don't think it's got anything to do with the Switch 2. I think that Switch 2 will just be part of an update. I don't think there will be an update for Switch 2. I just don't think there's a need for one. I don't think the Switch needs a new update. All it needs is an unlocking of the features that it doesn't have already. So is that a brand new update? Just like, for instance, I play on the Steam Deck, and the Steam Deck has all of the things in the game at low settings. If you switch it to low settings, you can play pretty well, quite comfortably. It looks quite nice. It plays similar to the Switch from what I've seen, but you have settlements because there's a little bit more memory and there's a little bit more processing power. So the Switch 2 is going to have a little bit more processing power. Do they really need to create a new version of the game for that? They just need to unlock the things that already are available on other handheld devices, I think. So, and also, I don't think they're going to make an official Switch 2 version, because I don't know, Nintendo are doing weird things with their... We'll see how it works out when they finally release properly, but they're doing weird things with their new versions and like suggesting that people buy things again. Almost, it feels a bit odd and not No Man's Sky like, not Hello Games like. I mean, it might encourage people to buy it on Switch too. Yeah, so as Gravnaught's saying there, unfortunately, again, I'm going to have to pause things in order to pull up talking points. Cooking-based ideas. Yes, we have cooking in the game. We have it in various guises. We can cook things for the nutrient ingester. We can eat things. What have I got I could eat? We can consume things which do things for us. In this case, it would give me back some of my core health, the little pluses in the top left-hand corner there. What's the quickest thing I can actually drain some health with, just to demonstrate that it does do something? Let's crush this. I've been recently grabbing these. I want it to actually hurt me. I don't know if these things actually do hurt much, that's the trouble. Especially when you've got full shields. Actually do some damage for them. It does that thing where it jumps on it sometimes. They're very non-threatening for endgame. I mean, they're not endgame content by any means. And what we've got to do is knock full health down. Going to run right through my shield before it even does anything. Right, finally taken one core health damage. So I've got one plus out of the way. So I can shoot these things out. It'd be nice if this was more end-game focused or scaled up with this, bit like some other things do. Pirates scale up with this. Okay, so we have got that, and I've been collecting the vile cortexes. I don't know why. Maybe they'll be used for something one day, so I've been kind of collecting them every now and again. But I currently have one less plus. I don't know how clear it is to see. If I put the little plus over that, let's put it over this in illuminated spot there. So you can see there's a plus down there. And then if I eat some meat, then I have all of my pluses again. So it does do something. Not everybody's fully aware of that one. It's really handy in the early game when you're running around on a planet in, say, permadeath and you need to get your pluses up quickly. You can eat some meat. Anyway, we also have a reasonably good cooking system. But what does it need? I don't know what it really needs. I feel like it's fine as it is, really. Do we need a cooking update? I'm not convinced. I'm more of the opinion that this is one of those things, a bit like Origins and Oranges, where it's just what the word sounds like as opposed to a literal meaning. So I'm more of the school that's saying this is beacon instead of bacon. It's just a mispronounced bacon. And that goes back to the last time I was on a live stream speculating about what I thought might happen in the future. And it also goes back to what's going on with let's see if I can get this on the screen. I don't know why my browser's not coming on the screen, but if I shut it down and reopen it, there we go. So this is Blue Sky, which recently Sean has joined as well, and No Man's Bee Sky. So we now don't have to go to Twitter to see his emoji tweets, which I quite appreciate, because I'm nothing against Twitter specifically as a platform even. It's just that the people on it just argue all the time, and it just wears you down after a while about everything. So we've already got the triple emoji even. And on X, stroke Twitter, he even posted the bacon emoji onto the Light No Fire page. And that makes me think something that I said a while back on a stream when I was talking about if there's going to be anything else that they link to Light No Fire, if we see anything else Light No Fire based in this game before it gets released, I would hope that it would be maps, because maps are the one thing that really what this game is missing. If we go to my freighter, I'll give you an idea of what I would like to see. Shaken Not Stirred. That sounds more like a James Bond tie-in to me, English. Right, so I'm going to take that browser off the screen again. At least I got it onto the screen last. Right, so here we are. We have this map thing. Go into activate planetary probe, and we can see the system. It scans all of the things, but what it doesn't really do is give us any idea of the planet. And these waypoints are rubbish and aren't used for anything. All they do is just give you a little picture when you go down and actually find a point of interest. In fact, we could go and do one. And also, while we're here, we have this map here, which again is just one of the planets in the system. It doesn't really do anything useful. Precisely, and so have I. And as I was saying the other day, I can't remember how long ago on which stream, the thing that we are missing the most is something that has to come in a fantasy game. Maps are vital for fantasy games. So let's see if we can find a waypoint just to demonstrate. Just because people haven't really paid attention to waypoints at all. And you can be forgiven for not paying attention to them because they don't do anything. You can tell I'm a little bit angry with waypoints. They don't do anything. I get frustrated with them. I can't deny that. Probably unreasonably frustrated with them. Am I in a I'm not even in a proper system. I need to go to somewhere where we can actually find something useful. So let's go to... That'll do. Well, I think depends how they implement them. We don't necessarily need beacons or waypoints. If we had waypoints or beacons better implemented, it doesn't necessarily have to give us planetary coordinates as such. I'll try and explain what I mean. There's one. Right, so if we go away from here a little bit, I think the closer you are, the less it show up. Yeah, so that shows there as a sector navigation beacon. That's what it says when you see that little thing. If you scan on the planet, and it will find nearby beacons if there are any. And each region on a planet tends to have a beacon. So you can kind of navigate around that way by scanning. And all it does is it's a save point. And then it pops up here, and you can't do anything with it. You can upload it. You could rename it. So you're renaming a region on a planet. Useful for those expeditions where it says rename something. Find a waypoint that people wouldn't have looked at. Rename that. That will work even if you haven't got something in your list that other people have named. You're easily going to find a waypoint. But they don't do much. And they even drew attention to them in the last expedition, because that was one of the solutions to that recent one. Was it the last expedition? Which expedition was it when we had to name something? Was it Titan, wasn't it? When it said you had to rename something, and a lot of people started using beacons in order to achieve that. But they don't do anything apart from, they give you a bit of navigation data, which allows you to call your ship into these places if there's a landing spot. But what I would like to be able to do is go into my discoveries, so I keep pressing the button, and then maybe highlight that, and then fly to it. It will actually be marked again, and then I can fly here. And then adding on to that, if I'm in my discovery page, in a similar way that it shows me where I am on the planet, it could show me my custom beacons, the ones that I've decided that I want to have as marked waypoints. Maybe not all of them. Maybe we can scroll through these and select favorites. But anything that we've found that we're interested in, it may be in an area, should be marked on here potentially. Now that's going to take up a bit of space in the save file, so maybe only have certain ones, a certain number that you can select, but then we can find things on planets without having to drop our own save beacons, or without having to drop well, there's nothing else really, is there? Save beacons, or maybe a base computer, without having to drop a base computer. And it could be our own private one, so we're not cluttering up a planet with other people's stuff. You know, when we go into an expedition, we just see beacons everywhere, bases everywhere, and it just clutters things up. And it would be nice if we could just mark a few things without just using the planetary coordinates, which obviously we can get here. So this is in 21.52 plus 134.6. That's where I am on this planet. Or obviously we can do that by scanning. So it's there on the right under local data, current time, current location. But it would be nice if we had some control over that. Now, if you imagine Bacon has been posted to Light No Fire as well. Maybe this is going to be the big summer update, a little bit like Worlds, where they say, oh, and another thing that we're bringing from Light No Fire, in other words, testing in No Man's Sky, is cartography of some kind. Light No Fire is clearly fantasy related. You need maps in fantasy. It's just part of the genre. I don't really have many fantasy books in my... I'm not a fantasy fan, really, but if I pulled a fantasy book off the shelf, the very first page in a fantasy book tends to be a map, because maps are part of the genre. If you play a role-playing game of any kind that has fantasy elements, you will see a map. We don't have a map here. We can't see where we are on this planet. We can go into photo mode and look around. We could take photos and build some kind of map, but it would be very tricky. People do try, but it's not really a way of making some form of localized map. And maybe to some extent you could do that. Because, as I was saying back on the freighter, we do have these planets available to us. We scan them. I think it's a game update. I think we're into the summer period. Last year they released it in July, didn't they? The big update. I feel like they're doing a lot of things earlier in the year this year, but they didn't bring something out late May, which they often do. They often bring out something last couple of weeks of May, if you look at like the history timeline of when they've dropped things. I can smell some curry out there. Someone's cooking something really nice. Got the window open and it's a very nice sunny day. And someone's cooking something nice. So look, we have this here, for instance. I would love to be able to use this, select which of the planets we have already scanned, going the wrong way, which of the planets we've already scanned, and maybe select our beacons, or, as Gravnaut was saying, if we could select a planet and then actually put in some coordinates and mark it, we could do that with some form of interactive planetary system, either there or on the bridge. And that would be really nice. It would be a really nice, even if that was all we did. Yep, it definitely is. Somebody's maybe it's an omen. Maybe I'm talking wrong and it's not beacon. It actually is bacon, and it's something to do with cooking. While we're chatting, I'll have a look at what I've got in my. But yeah, I mean, you never know with these updates, and it could be related because they have recently started using the cooking system, and maybe they're going to try and streamline it. It is a bit cumbersome. I know you're joking, but you never know with Hello Games and No Man's Sky. But there are animals that you could kind of squint and say might be a bit pig-like, and I don't think they'd ever go that far as to have representatives of each animal and the meat that they have. I think they prefer their slightly comedic names of food ingredients. Everything's kind of tongue-in-cheek with their food ingredients to sound as the least appetizing as possible, I think. spawning sec, hooray. Did I just get the 2? Yes, I just got the 2. I'm going to go and spend those immediately. So where were we? Any other ideas apart from settlements? Because some people just love the idea of settlements. I mean, they might. I've always said that once the switch, potentially the switch to I'm not going to use them. I'm saving them. I've got 3 spare now. I've got like a full page of these and a line to keep stuff. And I'm going to build up until I've got, say, 10. And I don't need a line there, but I could do another line here when I get 10. So keep it nice and neat. Okay. What else did I get that's useful? I got a few more storage augmentations, but I don't think I need to use those right now either. How do you go from bacon settlements? Well, I couldn't see the connection either, but there was a suggestion made very much earlier before I started the stream. Perhaps Gravnaut would like to reiterate how he got from bacon to settlements in his very convoluted way. I think he was joking too. Let's get my bits and pieces. Heaven forbid we actually play No Man's Sky while talking. Lightning Fire has a beacon that's predominant in the trailer. Kind of. It certainly has interactable things that look a bit like beacons. I feel like there are similarities. I can't pull up what you put earlier about the bacon to Shakespeare because it's not on my list because I was still sorting out my stream, so I can't pull it up. Put these in my ingredient storage. No, not in my ingredient storage. I just put one in the wrong place. Every 30 seconds, I have a little warning telling me I'm in the just chatting screen that I've just recently added so that I don't have to rely on people reminding me in chat. It's a bit weird. I haven't quite got used to it yet. It's just a little whisper in my ear. There, so that this is the theory that links to settlements. I mean, how dare I call it convoluted. Storage. I don't want that in there. I want that in my storage container. I have a storage container where I keep these things for crafting. I mean, yeah, I'm not a big fan of just having all chat just streaming. Like a lot of people just have just down here below them. They just have a whole list of everything that everybody's saying. And while that's very interactive and it encourages people to interact, so I can't knock that. I feel like you don't want absolutely everything cluttering up the screen, and I like to be able to take things off of the screen afterwards sometimes. They time out, but I can like pop something up and then take it down again. I like being able to do that. It feels like I can actually take things at my pace. So if I'm doing something else, I can then pull that back, even if it's from like 5 minutes ago. Let's get that started while we're doing this. That can go in storage. I'll tidy up this thing while I'm here. All the stuff I just got from my frigate missions. Most of which I will sell. Stellar extractors got me so excited when I first found them, and now I never unlock them. Yeah, I find them a little bit cumbersome because you have to kind of go in and manually click on them in order to get them going, and they do take forever. So it's a little bit like, unless you walk up to them and select them, it's a little bit like setting a refiner going. They don't do anything much unless you do that. And yeah, they don't really gather a lot of stuff. The trouble is, if they did, you would get like, you would make a massive room of them, and you would kind of fill up the fill up your whole freighter with gathering resources and selling, which would just be another kind of boring not playing the game thing. So yeah, I'm not sure. They're interesting. What have we got here? We've got methane now. Sulfur and radon and nitrogen are useful in crafting, but it doesn't exactly give them to you in big enough volumes to really do much with them. But possibly just about enough. We're just crafting. One of the things I do, I'll show you what I do most of the game. In a save like this where I'm not really fully focused, on crafting, I will kind of slowly craft things. So I'll gather a lot of these stuff. I'll keep a certain amount of the things that I need for crafting, and then slowly craft up the chain. So if we were trying to craft, say, quantum processors, then I've got the nitrogen salts, I've got the thermic condensates. I'm slowly building up supercomputers, superconductors. I'm slowly building up circuit boards, and then I can make one of these at some point. And then, because I've been building up other things, I can usually make... Let's go to the actual crafting section. I can't quite make a stasis device yet, but I might even be able to make a cryogenic chamber, actually. Not at the moment, but I'm slowly building up to those things. So I'm not kind of dedicated crafting all along. I'm just doing it as and when I get the ability to build the next thing. Or I will come into this page. Let's just put these in there. Where was that? Put that there a second. I've got no other indium in here. No, I haven't. Let's chuck it there for now. So yeah, I will I'll sometimes come into this page, work out what I need, and then grab a load of these and build the things I need at the earliest stage of the crafting step. So right now I could probably make a stasis device or a few stasis devices if I actually sat down and crafted them, because I've got all of the elements to get there. How much do we need money is the other question. I mean, I don't have max money. I have 2.2 billion. I don't think I'm going to be worrying too much about money for a while. So where were we? Yeah, so there's this. There's the beacon could be related to bacon, could be related to beacon, which could be related to some form of navigation. Another form other than planetary navigation, it would be really nice if they sorted out galactic navigation, because this waypoint system is just not very good. The if we, for instance, if we just set a waypoint to there. So we have a custom waypoint, and it's actually quite close, so it's not too bad. But if it's anywhere other than in the very, very close vicinity of where we are, it's really, really, really cumbersome and difficult to work out. For instance, why doesn't it, in that top right over there, at the top left-hand corner, why doesn't it just show on the galaxy map where my waypoint is? So if I know it's not in my local area, it could demonstrate clearly that it's right across the galaxy. So then I know, oh, okay, that was that time I was in the bottom left-hand corner of the galaxy. I'll go to that base, or I'll go to that location, and then I'll look for it. And you're not kind of kidding yourself that it's nearby, and you're just following a waypoint for hundreds and hundreds of light years, thousands of light years. I mean, yeah, the galactic map is amazing. And the fact that we can just do this and we just feel like we're not running out of stars. And eventually we'll get to the core. And despite the fact that I can't actually come here, I can select that system randomly in the entire galaxy map and set a waypoint. But unfortunately, if we then try and work out how to get there, we're just going off into following a weird line that doesn't really help us get there. It doesn't give us any idea of where we're going. It's very cumbersome and confusing to newer players. How on earth do we get to where we just selected? And the real answer is, well, we can't really. All we can really do is kind of head in the rough direction from the line, which is usually visible when you look back. So let's try and see. I can see the line there. So I can kind of line up with it from a distance and say, okay, it must be in this direction somewhere. But it's a very hit and miss game. I've often imagined that you could play a game of golf in the galaxy map. You could say, right, where do we want to get to? How many light years away is it? In what direction? And then see how many jumps it takes you to find that weird location. Because the only thing we have to go on is when we get there, we can check the coordinates. And while we're in the map, the only thing we can go on is each region, which is one spot of glyphs, has a black hole. So we can say, okay, we're in one region here. That's another region. We can count the regions. 1, 2, maybe 3. There could have been one just above or below. 4, 5. So you can think, okay, well, I want to make a jump of like 6 regions. Jump to here if you had the range. And then kind of play a game of golf as to how quickly you could get to that other spot. But apart from that, it's a very cumbersome and confusing system. What would be lovely is if we could go into the galaxy map, select a waypoint, and then zoom into that galactic core, and it would kind of come onto the main screen and give us an idea of whereabouts we are. And if we go upwards, for instance, I don't know how easily and quickly it'll be visible. just about see on the galaxy map there that it's starting to not just show a location on the disk, but it's starting to move a pointer upwards. So if we keep going upwards, until our range is out. We're just, so that's on the edge of our range. And maybe do that again. Done a few jumps upwards and our maximum range of our freighter, which I don't think is huge for this freighter, but it's not far off. Now if we have a look in the map, now we've got a line that's very clear. If you look in that, sorry, that way, the very, very top left-hand corner there, there's a little circle and then there's a line and then there's a dot, which is indicating that we're above the galactic plane. And the circle is the galactic plane. So it gives us an idea of how high we are or low we are on the map. That's nice. But if we could zoom into it and get a better perspective of where we were on the map, it would be really much nicer. So I feel like cartography in general is the thing that we lack the most. So every time I see any hint in the emoji that maybe cartography could be coming, I get quite excited because I just want there to be something more than we have. I feel like we don't have good mapping tools. Yeah, but I mean, I think that's about it. The ability to better map planets and the ability to use the galaxy map just a little bit more efficiently is what I would hope Beacon as opposed to Bacon update would be. Has anybody else got any ideas? I haven't seen many theories, so if anybody's seen other theories of what it could be, I'd be interested to know. I haven't, for instance, been looking at any of the online places. A quick look on my phone. Go to Reddit, for instance. Just a random photo that people are speculating on, which does happen. I mean, I would say it needs to have at least a mapping system. It doesn't necessarily have to be the best thing since sliced bread. It doesn't have to be the best mapping system in a game, but it's part of the genre. And what better way to test a new mapping system than to give us some of the tools so that we can play with it, debug it, find the problems with it, and then being assaulted by a Viking here. Oh yeah, that's the other name. Bacon, at least in England, I presume is a more widely used phrase, but bacon obviously has cultural connotations. Bacon in England can also mean like bringing home the bacon, as in some form of earning of money. So I guess it could be related to earning money. But we have quite a lot of ways of earning money. Sorry, that one. I do think to some extent No Man's Sky is like No Fire's testing ground. I feel like they might as well use it for certain things. For instance, I'm not 100% convinced that they just ripped fishing from Light No Fire and put it in No Man's Sky, but they must have an implementation of fishing in Light No Fire, because fishing again is one of those things you often do see in survival fantasy games, and it just strikes me that it would be quite easy for them to have configured it for No Man's Sky, made it a little bit more sci-fi, but generally, I mean, it does feel that it was almost thrown in quickly. I haven't even got a thing here, but the fact that it's a tool on a multi-tool in and of itself feels odd. It's like they needed to implement it quickly because they wanted to do a fishing expedition. Actually, sorry, I'm in the wrong place here. I must have the ability to, yep. The fact they implemented it this way, which then gave us potential ways of having visual bugs of us holding a fishing rod when we're running around shooting things, or other strange ideas, other strange things, to me suggests that they threw it in quite quickly. And so they may have taken an existing system and brought it over to No Man's Sky and reconfigured it, made it fit in a way that it's like a little bit like a square plug in a round hole. It doesn't quite fit the way that they implemented it, I don't feel. Well, it does remind me of Oranges, which was just so random. And then it turned out to be Origins, which I believe was a bit of a pun on the way certain people say oranges. See, I suspect that it would be. I suspect that in Light No Fire, you would imagine fishing is a more integral... You'd imagine having different tools would be more integral to the system. You would imagine it has a better, more fantasy-like inventory system. Let's face it, the inventory system of No Man's Sky is a little bit clunky, very sci-fi. If you implemented Light No Fire with a similar inventory system, I think it would stick out as not being a great example of that kind of genre's inventory. Yeah, basically. That's basically what I'm saying. It's more likely. But I mean, as I was saying, money could be, I mean, it could be a way of earning. That could be a settlement thing. If it's bring home the bacon, as an analogy, then settlements have a lot of potential for making us money. They can earn us money in ways that they don't at the moment. Almost certainly going to get a battle. Yep, straight away. As I haven't. Haven't been here for a while. Not my best gun. This is the this is that alien gun I found the other day. Not quite as good fighting these things because they're a bit tougher than ordinary sentinels. That's it. They're giving us less of these now. They used to give us like 7 or 8 every time, but now we often just get 3 or 4 anymore. So yeah, in a settlement, Well, it depends. Yes, and potentially no. But I'll go into that in a minute. So at the moment, these settlement statuses don't usually mean an awful lot. Like I've got synchronized drink pumps. That's actually usually a cap. Something drink related can often cap productivity below maximum. So as this settlement develops, it'll be interesting to see if it ever gets to completely maximum. It's not a very well developed settlement. But we have these factories. So we have these kind of factory system things that clearly stuff's going on in here, but we have no way of accessing or improving or otherwise kind of playing with these rooms. It would be really lovely if we had rooms in our settlements that actually helped the settlement earn cash. It doesn't have to be for us, which is one of the things that bring back to the last thing we need is money. It doesn't have to be for us necessarily. It could be about developing our settlement, or they could change the way money worked. It wouldn't be terrible. Money doesn't work particularly well in the game. I doubt they would have a major overhaul to the way money worked, but they could. What else have we got in our settlements? We've got places for people to live, obviously. This is probably a place for people to live. Can't see any doors on the ground floor. Oh, that's wonderful. So this doesn't have any economic element to it. It's just a place where people live. Been in that one. This is just an empty room with a server bank. I don't think I've got a bar. This is another industrial space. None of these things do anything. Another industrial space. Like we might get in our list of elements. Is there an exotic? Yes, there he is. Nice one as well. I think I might have missed the NPC. Oh, no, there he is. There's the supercharged. Supercharged are quite widely spread. I do like the royals with side thrusters. They're my favourite. Grey isn't my favourite, but if I had to grey and gold, I think we discussed this before. I prefer the grey and gold. Nice. Keep an eye out for it again. So yeah, there's not an awful lot. I mean, we have the... We even have a market yet. I think I've gone for landing pads to start with. Oh, there's one over there. So the market clearly has room for expansion. We've got something missing here. So they could add an extra element to... They could actually sell us the goods from the settlement, maybe. Or settlements could produce new exotic items that can't be got everywhere. That we could trade with each other, potentially. I mean, I don't think interactive trade is a likely thing in this game, but it could be nice to have different settlements had unique things that you could sell to other people. Or give out your settlement details and they could come and buy it from your settlement. mean, I doubt that's what it means, but at least bacon, it does have a direct relationship. It's not like bacon beacon. Bacon can mean money. I think I don't have anything being built at the moment. No. I often get lost in settlements. Unless I come here a lot, which I'm on this save I really don't. See this high volume chef. So he's basically coming along saying, "Oh, I could be your chef," but we never see any of the. All we see is a trait. If I do that, I purchase technology for the high volume chef. I don't think it's the actual person it's going to be, but it's now a settlement feature. It's put it here. It's got rid of a negative. Improves citizen happiness, but it doesn't do anything. Whereas one of my industrial rooms could now be the high volume chef device that churns out higher volumes of things. Hi Beebs, how you doing? Good to see you. Haven't been on your stream for ages. Thursdays are so inconvenient for me. Where was I? So if it were settlement related, and I really don't think it will be, but if it were, and it does have some logic to it, then things that we can use to make money or make trade connections or otherwise make our settlements feel a little bit more lived in, used and real could be a nice thing for them to, for bacon to mean bringing home the bacon, getting our settlements working for us, doing stuff for us. I'd still prefer beacon bacon, but at least it would be something I want and want to see. Some kind of... And the reason that it could be likely is because of this idea that the Switch 2 might bring settlements into Switch. Therefore means that there's a wider use of settlements across the whole community. They won't feel like it's been left behind as much, and so they will be able to then develop it and not feel like they're leaving some people completely out of the loop. So you never know, it could be what it's about. Where was my... See, I've lost it already. There it is. So that's tentatively 3 main ideas. The obvious on-the-nose change for food that I don't think is necessary. I don't think anybody's crying out for. Some kind of beacon system. Beacons for using these kinds of things more effectively, having some kind of cartography, having some better use in the galaxy map, or bacon as in bringing home the bacon, having some other economic system in the game, possibly via settlements. I'm pro beacon. I am assuming it might be a space-related update. This last few updates were planet-related. Maybe more encounters, something worth exploring in space. I mean, obviously, exploration is the main element of this game. So I would love it to have some form of exploration. I feel like beacons, the way we've been talking about it as cartography, is also a form of exploration. So, and anything that enhances exploration is good. Obviously, the way that No Man's Sky has always been updated, you get a bundle of things, not just the one central thing. So I'm sure if they introduced, let's say for instance, they did settlements and they gave us the ability to create, make, craft and create things in settlements, I'm sure there would be some exploration element to that. I'm sure there would be space encounters potentially that could be thematically linked to that. I think you've always got that option of making a big list of update things that are thematically linked in some way. If they said it was cartography based, obviously we could have a few more points of interest that kind of tied that in better. Maybe actually use something in the Colossal Archives that was map based, as opposed to just small charts that don't really do much apart from send us to something. An actual chart would be really nice. We've got north, south, east, west on our map now. Let's make use of it. Let's actually have something that says due west of this location. Or you could imagine in Light No Fire, and I returned to that fact that this was tweeted in the Light No Fire account as well. You can imagine them saying on there, we've got some element of cartography. It might say, give us treasure maps that tell us very broadly with just kind of locations that aren't to scale, but it says, oh, to the southwest of somewhere you can find this thing. Those kinds of maps that are actually visual, that are so key to fantasy, that could work well, and they could test those kinds of things in our game here. Our game. No, they could test it in No Man's Sky. That kind of interaction with points of interest that are local to you and giving you a clue as to where to look for things. Can't help thinking if they were going to bring out something about buried treasure and stuff, that would be so juicy that it would be its own update. It would be something very you'd have an icon, an emoji that actually indicated that, I think. So maybe I'm going a little bit far thinking that. But cartography, I've always wanted cartography. It's the big thing that I'd always asked for every summer update, I think, or late year update, depending on when they bring the big update out. It's what I've always wanted to see, is some form of exploring an individual planet in a way that doesn't just feel like running around in a landscape that's relatively random, which is obviously what it is. You can get that sense of place. I've built my base here. There are points of interest here that I have mapped. You get that sense of place through cartography. And that's one of the reasons I feel like we land on planets and then we don't really spend a lot of time there, because we never get a sense of place there. We never feel that it's our home, apart from the buildings we create or the things like here. This is just a placeholder garage, so I can put all of my exocraft down. I don't come here any other time. Maybe I'd fish in that lake occasionally, but apart from that, this is just a place that, like, I come and get some navigation data. It doesn't feel like a place. I don't know what's over that hill. I don't know what's over this mountain. So yeah, you never get that sense of place on the planet, and cartography could solve that issue, I think. And has to be something that Light No Fire is working with. They must be working with maps. Because, as I say, open a book With any fantasy book, there will be a map. You will be able to buy maps that you hang on your wall of, say, Middle Earth, or name any other fantasy setting you can think of. It's a trope. It's a part of that genre. And it would be really disappointing if Light No Fire doesn't have the ability for us to map the huge planet that we have. Light No Fire will have that. I'm 100% convinced it will have some form of cartography. So test it here. If you're going to test it here, that's what could be what bacon means. My biggest theory. I can't get away from that theory. All the other ones feel a little bit undercooked. Excuse the pun. Bacon for money. Ignition's right. Do we need money? Somehow linking it to settlements could work. I do feel the emoji might have a double meaning, both for No Man's Sky and Light No Fear. Beacons and lighting them up makes sense to me, but of course, bacon needs to mean bacon, then beacon, then yeah, exactly. There's, and we've seen. Let's see if I can pull up the trailer without. Let's go to it first before I put it on the screen. So, obscuring myself completely here. So, where are we? So, these things. Is it going to show? It's probably just a flash, isn't it? There. Maybe it's not somewhere else in the video. No, it's not. So, let's play that from there and see if I can pull that. It just flashes. I don't know if I'm going to be able to pause it. It's interesting that it comes up as the marker, so you can kind of see it there. There we go. So let's pull that a little bit more. So these things, they have writing on. They if I pull that down slightly, this is cumbersome. So this looks like a biome marker of some kind on the top right. I can't point to it because I turned off my marker, but it's got like a what looks like a windy marker. Maybe it's a windy weather environment. It's got what looks like some very basic runes. Probably 3, 4, 5 runes. And some kind of marker thing that we could potentially interact with. Is this a beacon of some kind? Is that what that is? I don't know. Don't know if there's anything else that's obviously. It's crazy that this is still all we've got to go on. These things here look like they look like buildings on the right near the wing, to the right of the right wing. To the left there's a building on that island. I can't see any other markers as such. These things are beacons, definitely. So these potentially have something to do with marking where we've been, perhaps, or I don't know, or it's so hard to even guess what this means. So I've never made a full in-depth idea of what this trailer is, because I just feel like it would just be pure speculation, even more than we're speculating today. And that's very beacon-like, as I think someone was just saying. I would love to see more about this soon. It would be nice. It feels like so long ago now. Where are we? Let's have a look at the chat. Square 10K you pull up map with all surrounding waypoints marked would be very helpful. Even if it was just the waypoints that you've visited, or it just had the beacon markers that I was showing when we scan on a planet until you've been there, and then it tells you what it is. "2025 inf drops." Light No Fire drops. Sorry, inf. I was reading. Light No Fire. I don't think it's going to drop this year. I honestly don't think it's coming this year. I think logically it's going to come on the 10th anniversary of No Man's Sky. I just feel like that was hinted heavily when he was saying about, oh, I'd like to be coming back in 10 years' time and still having updates. I think he was comparing it to the cycle of No Man's Sky and saying after this length of time of doing No Man's Sky, be 10 years' time, but we'll be at year 8 of Light No Fire. I feel like that was kind of a very subtle hint that it's going to be a 10-year cycle. Because he was coming back 10 years from the original trailer that he presented at that show, I believe. So you're already kind of working on a 10-year timescale. Yeah, I thought someone had mentioned it. Yes, it is very beacon-like. So, I think we may have exhausted the topic, though. I can't think of many other things that really stand out with the word bacon. We've got a friendly bet. Okay. Off the top of my head, I can't think what the stakes would be. Be interesting to know if Light No Fire will expand on the number of players we can have in an instance, in a group. It feels like every game that relies on Microsoft's infrastructure has this problem of losing connections. So whether they'll go for a different infrastructure for Light No Fire could be interesting. They use Microsoft Azure as their main server base, so I feel like games struggle using that. I don't think Microsoft have ever got their gaming infrastructure together. So if they changed that, if they changed to a different server base, that could help them. I have also, heaven forbid, heard the Kevin Bacon rumors, and obviously it's 7 degrees of Kevin Bacon. Everything comes back to Kevin Bacon in the end. I don't know about the tremors thing. I was thinking more maybe dance off. We could have a new dancing interactions. That would be cool. Yeah, that people have also talked about the June. But what? I mean, we've got Star Citizen bringing. Every space game seems to want to have space worms, which is frustrating in and of itself. I'm quite happy with them just leaving the worms as they are. Do we need to interact with them? Do we need to be able to shoot the space worms or get stuff from the space worms. And if we do have that, Star Citizen people will just say, oh, you're just copying us now, which is not true because everybody copies that. I'm just not that. I mean, I love Dune. Dune's my favorite sci-fi series in terms of books, just because it's so out there and crazy and has so many ideas in it. But I don't know. I think that would be odd. I think they were talking about the game, aren't we? I've only heard people talk about it. I presume it's the game, the new computer game, which is very survival element. Like you have to worry about water. Bacon, tremors, earthquake. Yes, I got the inference. I only played Dune 2000. Gosh, that reminds. It's a long while ago. I can't even remember what that game was, what you had to do in it. I don't think I played it. Dune 2000. What was that now? I just remember the title. Oh, it was a bit like it was a thingy. What's that genre? I don't really play those kinds of games. I can't even remember what type of genre it is. But yes, I'm looking at pictures of it now. Browser. So yeah, that was turn-based point and stick StarCrafty, yeah, that kind of thing. Yeah, it's not going to be that. It's an MMO kind of game where it's a very survival based. Can't even think what it's called. Dune Awakening, that's it. Clearly, people at Hello Games like Dune. I feel like settlements and the newer building parts. I can't do it on here. I have to go to a planet. Let's go back to the garage. Real-time strategy. Thank you, Mission. I just looked back at the chat and noticed you mentioned the genre there. I feel like these building parts, like the vintage teapot and the vintage dish and the canopy, wherever that is, in here. Yeah, the canopy, the canvas gazebo. I feel like a lot of those were quite Dune the movie inspired. I think they'd seen some of the concept art. So, I feel like if you're going to make a space game referencing Dune is obvious. You have to have some reference to it at some point. And obviously, very early on in the trailers, they had that worm that was slithering around. But I'm not convinced we need to really hammer home that. I feel like we've got enough Dune references now. I wouldn't be against it. Someone did say, "Oh well, if we could interact with the space worm, maybe we could cook something with it." and then we'd get our bacon reference that way, but I'm not so sure. So this is a nice planet, but I don't really spend any time here. Save point. Yeah, I think I'm gonna call the video to an end at this point, because there's not much else I can really think of to discuss about just a single emoji, and we've been going for an hour and 20 minutes kind of just musing on the idea while I'm kind of playing. If it's an expedition, we riot. I don't think we've had any No Man's Sky riots yet. What do? We'll march down to Guildford. I mean, most of the people I'm talking to today aren't even in England, so marching down to Guildford might be a little bit problematic. It could be an expedition. I mean, crossover with June. We kind of had the crossover with June expedition, though, didn't we? Because we had Emergence. They could do it again. I don't know how. No, I don't know how bacon would fit. Yeah, I wouldn't mind if it was an expedition. I mean, I like expeditions. I quite happily I'd be quite happy with an expedition with a bit of content. It doesn't bother me one bit, and then push the update back. But I do feel like we've got a critical mass of people desperately wanting to know just a little bit more about Light No Fire. So I think that might be the riot, the Light No Fire riots of Guildford in 2025. Crossover with you makes sense. Switch 2 launch on same day. I don't know. To me, it doesn't say bacon. I don't know what the reference to bacon would be. Let's not pretend we haven't been here before. We have been in this situation where we just could not work out what the emoji was many times. And this is not the first time, and won't be the last time. And that's probably the best point to call it a day, because it's almost pointless speculating. It's fun to speculate, but it's almost pointless to speculate. And on that note, travel well, and goodbye for now.